That movie is a shit show. What you think you see, what you think you hear, that's what it's about. It's all theater of the mind. No, it's garbage. It's garbage. Mood and atmosphere. Now that I really like. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I want to see.
What's going on, everybody? It's Thursday, September the 22nd, 2022, 2:12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are 3 weeks, essentially 3 weeks away from the release of Halloween Ends, ladies and gentlemen. Halloween Ends being released on October the 14th, 2022. That's right. That's right. The marketing material is in high gear. Things are being released in the form of a bunch of 30-second, 10-second, 15-second online, social media spots and TV spots and all that kind of stuff. And it's interesting. Like I said in my streams last week, was it last week? I think it was. No, it wasn't last week. It was the week before, I think. Was it last week? I can't remember now. I had said that I think the cat's out of the bag. I think we know now what this story is about. Again, we don't know specific details, in terms of those nuances and every single thing that happens. Obviously, there's probably going to be some things in there. Actually, I have no doubt there will be some things in there that surprise us, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, who knows. But in terms of the actual sort of crux of the story and the direction, like I said a couple of weeks ago now, I keep thinking it was last week. Was it last week? Maybe it was last week. Anyway, actually, I think it was. Anyway, like I said, sorry, the days are bleeding into each other here. I think it's safe to say that we know sort of what the crux of this story is going to be about, because through all of the marketing that I've seen, I've yet to actually see anything that leads me to believe that it's not heading in that direction. And the direction, of course, I'm talking about is with Corey Cunningham being a copycat killer. I don't necessarily think too, and I have done this as well, myself and other channels, have used the word copycat to sort of, well, for me anyway, I can't speak for them, but I've used the word copycat to illustrate and to paint a picture. Whether Corey actually is a copycat killer in the sense of that he's killing people all throughout the movie and people think that he's Michael Myers. The sheriff thinks he's Michael Myers. The town thinks he's Michael Myers. I mean, I have no idea. I don't know if that's what's going to happen. Basically, what I mean when I say copycat, I just simply mean, which kind of is sort of not the correct definition if it's leaning in the ways that I think it is. I just simply am trying to say that he's a guy that dresses up as Michael Myers. And goes around and kills some people. And I think that does happen. I think all the sort of the behind the scenes footage we've seen and all the spots, there's a lot of evidence that points in this direction. If this was a murder trial and this was all the evidence we had, I think it would be extraordinarily difficult for a jury not to convict, not to come back unanimously and say, yes, guilty. I think there's just too much. There's too much evidence. I think we have been able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this is the direction that they are taking. Now, Whether that means the movie's going to be good or bad, I don't know. Again, there are nuances and context and, you know, music and mood and atmosphere and performances and all that kind of shit that we don't have yet. So although on paper and knowing about this, you might think, I agree. It's not a direction that I would have gone in instinctually if I was in the writer's room and they said, Dave, we want you to write Halloween Ends. Okay, great. This is not what I would have come up with. But that in and of itself doesn't mean that by the end of the movie, you walk out and you go, you know, that wasn't bad. Maybe we'll walk out and be like, oh, you know, not great, but that was actually not bad. Not bad. It's good. Yep. I enjoyed it. Maybe that's what's going to end up happening. And I always pull for that kind of stuff. I always root for that kind of stuff because I don't want a Halloween movie to be bad or not to like a Halloween movie, right? But I think it's safe to say that this is the direction I think they are taking it in. I just don't, like I said, I just don't see anything else. I don't, and again, maybe they're hiding that. Maybe, you know, I know there's people out there saying, oh, maybe it's a red herring and it's going to be a completely different movie when you go watch it. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. The risks are too high for that. They would never market a film intentionally completely different from what you go. I'm not saying it's never been done. There are some examples you could probably point to, but I'm talking about like a completely different movie. Like the story's completely different 100%. Like there is no Corey in the movie at all. Like I'm talking about that kind of shit. There are people out there that think that that's could be possible. It's not possible. That's not what's happening here. I think it's safe to say that we have proven beyond a reasonable doubt. Anyway, it doesn't mean, you know, it could be off on something, that this is what's going to happen. So now it just comes down to whether or not we're going to like it. And we're not going to know that until we see the movie. We're not going to know that until we actually see the film and get all of it firing on all cylinders. So I think it's always fair. I think it's always important for people to watch movies on their own. That doesn't mean that you can't, you know, watch a channel or read a reviewer or, you know, that you trust and that you share a lot of similarities with, and that if they say, I didn't like this movie, maybe that turns you off from seeing it. But I think it's so important that people always watch movies on their own merits and make up their own minds and try not to be influenced by others. It's one of the reasons, well, it's not one of the reasons, it is the reason why in 2018, for those of you that have been following me for that long, know that I was very fortunate enough to see Halloween 18 at the world premiere at TIFF here in Toronto, about 6 weeks before it was released to the general public. And I kept my mouth shut. There were people that were actually angry at me. Not everybody, but there was a select few that were actually angry that I was continuing to make videos and I wasn't divulging what the whole film was about or what I thought of it. I gave, I think, a tweet where I gave sort of some initial thoughts. But the reason why I didn't say anything is because I didn't want my experience to influence your experience, because I knew I had a responsibility and people followed me and either liked what I had to say or didn't like what I have to say or whatever the case is. And I didn't want to influence that. I didn't want to say, it was amazing, and then you go in thinking it's amazing, or it's dog shit, or you go in thinking it's dog shit. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to kind of wait until after you've seen it, and then we can all talk about it. So I think that's important. Again, I'm cautiously optimistic. You know, I do like the fact that they've pulled it back from Kills. As much as there were certain things in Kills that I liked better than 18, but overall, you know, what I like about Michael isn't Jason Voorhees. So yes, the kills were cool and the blood was cool and the effects were cool and people love Carnage and it's executed really well and the production value is great and Michael taking down firefighters is fucking awesome. That's great. I can enjoy it on a certain level. But at the end of the day, you know, I much prefer the stalking, the lurking, the in the shadows, they're there, they're not there. So it sounds like that's, I don't know if they're going to do that verbatim, but it sounds like they've pulled the reins back and we're going to get more of an 18 kind of movie. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm cautiously optimistic, but we'll see. We'll see. It's hard to say. But let's see what you guys have to say about everything here and see what's going on. Let's get our first super chat that's come in from Danny Dank. Sends in $5. Says, thoughts on Kevin Williamson's original H2O script. He kept all the sequels canon and had Laurie mourning the loss of Jamie Lloyd. Well, Danny, I would refer you to the episode of Two Dudes and Some Bullshit that myself and Tony Michael just did a couple of days ago, where it was all about that. We talked about, we have this series that we're doing. We're up to episode 11 now. We have 164 episodes of Two Dudes and Some Bullshit, but we have 11 of those 164 are what we call what if scenarios. And we take sort of we'll take a lot from the Halloween franchise, Elm Street, Texas Chainsaw, Friday, and we'll kind of create what if scenarios. Like, what if they did this instead of this? What would that mean to the franchise? What would that mean to the series, the character, all that kind of stuff? It's a lot of fun. It's got a lot of great feedback. People seem to really enjoy it. So the most recent show we did, it's the video on my channel just before this one. We talk about that exact thing. What if H2O was a trilogy? Because he initially had it planned to be a trilogy, right? And so we talk about that and we give our thoughts on sort of where we might go if that was the case, and he kept the others canon and all that kind of stuff. So I encourage you to go and check that out, because it's a whole like hour and a half, 2 hours that we deep dive into it, and that'll give you some real good insight into what we think about it. But thank you, Danny. Appreciate your super chat. Let's see here. Briar Gray sends in $4.99. Thank you, buddy, and says, feel like there is no hype train for movie right now. Maybe one final trailer instead of TV spots and BTS will help out. Well, you know what? I think it depends on the circles you frequent. I think it's also important to remember that, you know, the horror bubble is very small. And as much as we would like to believe that everybody cares about Halloween, the vast majority of people don't care about Halloween. And the vast majority of people that went to see Halloween 18 and made it the most successful slasher movie in motion picture history was not because it was $250 million of Halloween fans. It was because it was mostly, you know, people. Yes, a lot of Halloween fans for sure, but it was also your general movie-going audience. It's Halloween time. It was the first Halloween movie to be released actually in the month of October since 1989's Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, if you can believe that. Halloween 18 was the first Halloween movie since 1989, nearly 30 years to be released in the month of October. So, you know, obviously you have a lot of general movie-going fans that want to see a horror movie or a scary movie or a spooky movie in and around that time of year, and they see Halloween, they're like, let's go see it. It did get word of mouth. So there's a lot of reasons why there was a lot of hype and buzz surrounding that film. Obviously, Halloween Kills, there was a big delay, so there was a lot of pent up sort of Halloween blue balls that people were very excited about. Well, not excited about the blue balls, but certainly about the film. So there was a lot of this, you know, pent up hype, but we just had a film less than a year ago, and it was a very divisive film. So a lot of the general movie going audience, and I see it in the Facebook comments, Twitter, things like that. There's a general movie going audience, and they're the vast majority of people that are like, what, another one? And you're still having, you know, people going, didn't Laurie die? You know what I mean? I mean, so I think I think the tiredness is beginning to set in the bigger picture, but yet the Halloween core is still kind of excited about it. That's my estimation based on sort of what I'm seeing. No, I don't think the hype is, it's nowhere near the hype of 18. And I don't think it's near the hype of Kills either, because we literally just got a movie less than a year ago and it was divisive. So, yeah, but it depends on the circles that you frequent. You know what I mean? If you're in the right circles, in the right pockets, you know, there's some hype there. There's some fans that are really excited about it. Jordan Ellis sends in $19.99. Thank you, Jordan. Says, hey, Dave, happy Thursday. Happy Thursday to you as well, Jordan, and thank you for the very generous super chat. Really appreciate that. I'm going to meet Robert Englund at Mad Monster Party in February. Amazing. Amazing. The Rob Man. So excited. Now, my question is slightly off topic, but what are your thoughts on the Hellraiser trailer? Looks interesting. I actually really like the Hellraiser trailer, and it's not off topic at all. It's just an open discussion here today where, I mean, obviously this channel has a big focus on Halloween, but it's just an open Q&A. We can talk about whatever you want. I actually quite liked the Hellraiser trailer. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. I'm not to be fair, I've actually only ever seen the first Hellraiser movie, which I quite liked. Or did I see the other sequels? I might have seen the sequel. I might have seen one of the sequels afterwards and didn't like it. That's possible. I can't remember now. But I'm not a big Hellraiser fan. It's just not a franchise that I got into. I think by the time the first one came out, which was in 87, I saw it, but I was kind of getting into other things at that time. I know I started very early, but back in like 84, 85, 86, I was into Friday and Elm Street and Halloween. Always into Halloween, of course, but Hellraiser, yeah, but I think the trailer looks interesting, and I think it's a solid trailer. And it's definitely piqued my interest, and I would like to see it. There's a lot of horror movies I need to catch up on. I still haven't seen The Black Phone, haven't seen Barbarian, haven't seen Pearl. Smile, I think, comes out either this week or next week. I just haven't been able to see these movies. So I have a feeling there's going to be a time soon where I just kind of spend $100 and rent, 5 movies or whatever, go to all these movies or something. But Hellraiser, I'm not overly excited about it because I'm not emotionally invested in the franchise, but I thought it looked cool. And I don't know a lot of the lore either. So maybe if I appreciated the lore more, I would appreciate the trailer more. But it looks cool for sure. All right. 1 second here. Got that. Don't want to miss these super chats here. Goodreal Hunting sends in $1.99, says, your boldest prediction for Halloween ends. That's a good one, Goodreal. My boldest prediction for Halloween ends. It's kind of hard now because it's so hard. I'm gonna put up this little spoiler thing here. So if you want to just dive out and then dive back in like a minute. So the BTS footage that they released has shown us a lot of stuff. And again, now we don't know for sure, but it's shown us the character of Laurie Strode in a couple of positions that look like the end of the movie. There's some photos as well. And again, it's circumstantial, but it's highly probable based on these photos that she survives the whole film. Do you know what I mean? She survives the whole movie because we see her kind of in moments and in the BTS where it looks like it's kind of the epilogue or it's wrapping up or, whatever. So my bold prediction would have been that Laurie dies, that she's going to die, which for some people is a bold prediction, but I don't think that's going to happen anymore. So I would say that a bold prediction would be that, I don't know, man. A bold prediction. It's so hard, Goodreal, because we know so much now. And now, again, I know we haven't seen the film yet. And like I just said at the top of the show, there's going to be some things that are definitely going to be surprises for us, either good or bad. But we've been able to really connect some of these dots now, and nothing is telling us that we're connecting incorrectly. It's all saying we're connecting correctly. It's hard for me to make a bold prediction, because we know so much. So my prediction would just be about things that I know are likely true. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, for the sake of it, bold prediction. I don't think she does either, but okay. Allison dies, and it's just Laurie and Michael. But I don't think that's the case either because of what we've seen. This guy's so hard. I don't know. Allison dies. There we go. That's it. That's what I'm going to say. Dylan Schmelzinger, am I saying that right? Sends in $1.99. Thank you, Dylan. Says, chances that when he wears the mask, he's immortal. Chances, I guess there's a good chance, I guess. It's always possible. I think people put too much stock into the mask, quite frankly. I think they do. And the reason why is because the mask was just a mask Well, somebody took, a Halloween mask, a couple of knives, and some rope, or some rope and a couple of knives. Now, who do you think it probably is? I mean, I think because Halloween 3 was very built around this idea of, silver shamrock novelties, and, you put the mask on and it kills little kids and all that kind of stuff, which is really, really cool. I don't necessarily think that Michael's evil comes from this mask that he wears. Now, they can spin it that way if they want or allude to it. Okay, sure. But he was evil before that mask ever existed. He killed his sister at 6 years old with a clown mask on. I don't think the mask is the catalyst for the evil. I think the mask is just something that, it's changing the identity, right? So when he puts the mask on, he's becoming something else. It's a change in identity. It's just symbolic in that kind of way. And it's that goes back, through storytelling for years. I mean, that's why murderers will often wear masks or ski masks or whatever. It's to hide their identity. But in this case, I don't think it was to hide the identity. I think it's just he's becoming sort of something in somebody he's not. I don't think it has anything to do with the mask. I think if anything, the mask is an emotional trigger for Michael Myers. I think that's the case. I think maybe, and when I say emotional trigger, I mean that he recognizes it, he identifies with it, he identifies it, I should say, and he's able to, it might mean something to him because it triggers memories and a connection, and maybe it makes him feel secure or safer or whatever the case is. But the mask itself, I don't think has any supernatural tendencies or qualities about it. I think it's just a bunch of rotting latex. But symbolically, sure, perhaps. Cameron Woodward sends in $5 and says, "Love you, Dave." Thank you, Cameron. "I notice in all the teasers, they show the same shot of Hawkins running with sirens behind him. Do you think his whole role will be small?" Well, it depends on what you mean by small. I mean, maybe his role will be similar to Halloween Kills, which was small. I don't know. I don't know what the story is, right? Maybe he doesn't have a lot of screen time, but it's dispersed throughout the film, right? So it's not all bunched together. I mean, you can have somebody have like 5 minutes of screen time total in a 2-hour movie, which is not a lot. And, but you can have it all at the beginning of the movie or all at the end of the movie where it feels really short, even if it's like 3 minutes or something, right? Or you can have it dispersed throughout. So it's 30 seconds here, a minute and a half here, another 30 seconds here. So it creates this illusion that he's part of the movie throughout the film, but yet it's still the same amount of time. So it depends on how they've pieced together the story and what his role is in the movie. Whether or not we're going to get him kind of like in this one lump bunch at the very end, just kind of arriving going, "Laurie, are you okay?" That kind of shit. Or if he is throughout the film. Same with Lindsay, right? I don't think Lindsay has a lot of screen time in this movie either. I don't think she's a central focus. But do we get her in one lump bunch, where she kind of comes and goes? Or is she dispersed throughout, where it feels like she's there more than, or there longer than she really is? I'm not sure. It's a good question. Red Foreman sends in $5 and says, "Hey, Dave, I think you have a brother from another mother in Hollywood. Was watching the TV show Bones and the actor TJ Thine looks like you." I've had people say that. I don't think he looks like me at all. But I know who you're talking about. Okay, so ever since I've been doing this YouTube channel, I've had a lot of people say I look like a lot of different people. I've had Eminem. I've had that guy. I've had, I think I even had William Dafoe at one point. I was like, William Dafoe? I look nothing like William Dafoe. Like literally nothing like William Dafoe. But here's what I think people mean, because we often say, "Oh, that person looks like that person." So I showed my girlfriend one time, she's really good at this kind of shit. And I showed her and she's like, no, you don't look anything like that person. But what they're picking up on is there are certain features that are similar. Like you have the same eyes, or you have, the same jaw, or the same, whatever, or the same hair, and if you have the same hair and the same jaw, it kind of, that kind of got a Dave McRae sort of look. Do you know what I mean? But overall, it's not like, we're twins, or something to that degree. So, I've had a few people say that, like, I don't look anything like Eminem, but you put me in like a toque, and it's usually always when I'm wearing a toque, a winter hat for my American friends. We call them toques up here. It usually always happens when I'm wearing a winter hat, a beanie, a toque. Somebody will be like, oh, you kind of look like Eminem, and I'm like, Eminem? I don't look like Eminem, and then of course, I ask my significant other, and she's like, well, it's this here and it's that, and if you put it in that light, you can get that vibe or whatever. So that's so, and the same with TJ Thine. I know who you're talking about, and it's the hair for sure. Actually, I don't know if his hair is the hair on Bones for sure, because he had real curly hair, and my hair can get that curly if I don't cut it. And then maybe the jaw. I'm not sure. Same jaw. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's funny. I've yet to find. Actually, no. There actually was somebody that on Facebook, I forget the person's name. Somebody shared an image of an actor or an entertainer or somebody. I forget their name. And I looked at this image and I was like, wow, that really does look like me. I forget who it was. I'm going to have to try and find it. I was like, wow, it really does. And I think they even might have been British. I'm not sure, which doesn't surprise me, obviously, because I'm half English, because my mother was born in England. She was born there. So I do have very strong British roots. I've yet to go over there. I'd love to go over and visit, but so that's kind of funny. But anyway. Oh, and contrary to popular belief, because some people have, for whatever reason, think that I'm like not a redhead, but they think I have very dark brown hair and blue-green eyes. I'm not a ginger, folks, just in case, because I've had that too, like, oh, you're a ginger. I'm like, ginger? I'm not a ginger. What are you talking about? Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm not, there's nothing, I can hear it now. Dave McRae said, no, I didn't say that. I'm just saying that I've had some people think that. I don't know if it's the lighting in here or what on my beard or whatever, but it's all brown, folks. It's all brown hair and blue. Sometimes my eyes are blue and sometimes my eyes are green. Depending on the lighting. But that's funny though, but I know who you're talking about. KC Kroll sends in $20. Thank you, buddy, and says, hey Dave, saw in another video that you're not a coffee fan. Oh no, can't stand coffee. It's gross. What's your method for staying awake while working late, whether on set directing or in the studio? Love your channel, sir. Thanks for all your hard work. Thanks, ZC Kroll or ZC Kroll. Well, it's true. I don't drink coffee. The last cup of coffee, like literally the last coffee I had was 22 years ago. I'm not making that up. Like, I mean, literally, not how usually people use the word literally. Oh my God, my head literally exploded. I mean, literally, because I remember where I was and what was going on. It was at a Denny's restaurant in Belleville, Ontario, Canada. And I was driving from Ottawa back to Welland to go back to college. It was probably like late summer, early fall of the year 2000. So 22 years ago. And I had a coffee because I was driving and I wanted to stay awake. And I don't think it did anything. But that was the last coffee I had. I've tried all sorts of coffees. I've never been able to acquire a taste for it. I think it's gross. I think it's disgusting. But that's me. I am somebody that naturally has, in case you haven't noticed, I'm very... I don't drink any, no, I don't. I don't drink any beverage to stay awake. I never do. I just have a natural built-in high in energy when I am into something. And I'm not saying that other people don't, but I'm saying I don't drink coffee. I don't have Red Bull. I haven't had a Red Bull. And I remember the last Red Bull I had. I was in Los Angeles in 2003 because they weren't in Canada at the time then. And that was the one and only Red Bull I ever had. I don't drink Monster Energy drinks. I don't have a lot of, I just have, what you see here is what you get. I'm naturally energetic, upbeat, ready to go. Not like every minute of every day, obviously, but I mean, like if I'm on set, or if I'm, doing this show, or if I'm, I don't know, whatever it is that requires my attention to be on, I'm just there. I'm also a night owl. So I find I do my best work at night and my best writing at night. And so if it's like, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, midnight, 1 a.m., burning the midnight oil, I'm just naturally into what I'm doing because I'm a night owl anyway. Now, of course, there will come a time at 2 o'clock in the morning where I begin to feel tired and I think, well, okay, I'm just going to go to bed now, right? So I sincerely mean that. There's nothing that I have. I'm trying to think, what would I have throughout the day? So what is a typical day for me? Well, I get up in the morning, I have a glass of orange juice. I'll have maybe like a bagel and some peanut butter and a banana. For lunch, I might have like a turkey sandwich with, a glass of almond milk or, whatever. And then for dinner, I might cook up some chicken with some rice or some pasta and have, a glass of juice or, that is what I'm doing. And then for dessert, maybe I'll have like the one caffeine thing that I might have is maybe like a piece of chocolate or, a chocolate pudding, or something like that. But that's it. Like I'm not a big snacker. I'm not, I will snack if I'm going to the movies or, whatever, but, there's nothing, man. I don't have like 3 cups of coffee throughout the day or, I gotta have my coffee. Gotta have my coffee in the morning. Gotta have my coffee. I'm just not like that. I just never have been. So thank goodness I have a natural sort of energetic fuel source. And I mean that sincerely. I wish I could say, oh, I drink this and I do this, but I just don't. Now, when we shot It's Me, Billy, everybody else was drinking coffee to stay up, but I was ready to go. I was really excited and I'm a bit of a night owl anyway, like I said. So those overnights for me were, kind of all right. Like I'm used to being up at that time anyway, thank goodness. So, yeah, I don't have a go-to, man. I don't have a go-to. Okay, got that. Just trying to scroll down here. Riddick's Horror House, I think I said that right, sends in $5. Thank you, buddy. Says, what if Corey does in fact take both the mask and coveralls? What if we get birthday suit Myers roaming the streets? Could be the scariest Myers. Yeah, that would be incredibly scary. With many parts flailing in the October wind. I don't think that's going to happen. And again, if you watch any of the marketing material they've released over the last week or so, especially the 5-6 minute BTS B-roll, if you really pay attention and you go in, let's just say that Corey does not steal Michael's coveralls. He has his own, and where he gets them, I don't know. Maybe he picks them up at a Target. I have no idea. But the mask is likely Myers' mask. How he gets it, maybe he steals it. Maybe Michael is asleep and he's like, here's my chance. I have no idea. But it definitely, again, there's always a chance, but I think it is safe to say, based on the circumstantial evidence we have, that no, it is Myers' mask and he probably comes looking for it. And then it's Myers that probably kills Corey. Maybe not. Maybe it's Laurie, that mistakenly thinks he's Michael and kill, we don't know those details yet. But it wouldn't surprise me if it was like, give my fucking mask back, bitch. And there you go. You know what I mean? But that would be funny, sir. That would be very funny. That'd be really funny. Cody Snyder, my man, my mod. Cody Snyder sends in $10. Thanks, Cody. And says, will you be contributing questions to the Slaughtered Lamb Halloween franchise trivia quiz on October the 8th? I couldn't help but to ask. Yes, I believe there is something in the works, Cody, where I will be contributing to that. Darren has yet to reach out to me with the questions, but I believe that is in the works. He's just dealing with my agent right now, and we are going over contract negotiations. And I mean, listen, if you want me, the bottom is $5 million, but I'm willing to go to $2 million. I'm willing to go to $2 million, and this is that right now. Yes, I think that is the plan. P. Rich says, but Dave, the clown mask could have been a silver shamrock mask when he was a 6-year-old kid. Well, it could have, but here's the problem. And here's something that and I think you're just kind of, being facetious, but maybe not. Here's the thing that I've said this before, but I'll say it again, because again, not everybody tunes into the same shows. Not everybody hears me say the same things. I'm getting new viewers all the time. Is it possible that, you could take and make a silver shamrock connection to Michael Myers? Of course it's possible. But the problem is that you have to, if you were to do that, you would have to do it in a way that is rebooting the idea of Silver Shamrock. And it isn't connected to the 1982 Halloween 3. Because the reason is because the original Halloween, which is canon in this new timeline, is actually a fictional movie in Halloween 3. We see Atkins watching it on the he watches an ad on the TV, right? At the bar. We see him when he's tied up, a TV is wheeled into the room and there's Halloween playing on the TV. So in the Halloween 3 universe, Halloween is fictional. So that means in the Halloween universe, Halloween 3 would be fictional. So you can't just add Silver Shamrock into this timeline and say, there you go. Now, I know what you're thinking, but they put the Halloween 3 masks in Halloween 18 and you saw them in Halloween Kills. That's true, but that's just sort of a nod. That's just kind of a nod. That's not saying that Halloween 3, the story of Halloween 3 is canon in this new timeline, because you could argue and say, well, maybe Season of the Witch is an actual movie in the Halloween universe. It's not called Halloween, or maybe it is. Maybe it is, because maybe it is. Maybe it's called Halloween Season of the Witch. Do you know what I mean? And maybe that's an actual movie that Allison could go to Netflix and watch. Do you know what I mean? Slightly different. It's not called, Halloween 3. It's just called Halloween Season of the Witch, or something. But showing the masks from Halloween 3 doesn't automatically say that the entire narrative and plot and story of Halloween 3 exists in this current Halloween timeline. Hopefully you're following me. I know there's a lot of sort of bouncing back and forth. It's just fan service. It's just acknowledging the past, the legacy, what's come before. That doesn't mean that you couldn't intertwine it, but you would have to do it in a way that it is not connected to the Halloween 3 story directly. Because again, Halloween is a fictional movie in that film. Makes no sense. It makes no sense. So there's a lot of continuity red tape that needs to be sort of worked through and cut and figured out before you can just say, it's a Silver Shamrock mask. Well, where does that leave us? What does that mean? When you think about the canonical sort of like the continuity of everything and how one means this and one is real in this universe, but it's not real in that. And then you've got to take those things into consideration. You can't just say it's a Silver Shamrock mask. There's a lot of things. I'm not saying it can't be done, but you can't just, just say it and then it automatically just makes sense because Halloween 3 exists. It doesn't. There's a lot of things you got to work out to have it make sense. So that's why I don't think it's that at all. I don't think, and it devalues, if it's a Silver Shamrock mask, in my estimation, it devalues the whole point of Myers. I hate to say it, folks. Now, I don't know what they've done with ends, and I don't know if they've given an explanation, if they've hinted at an explanation. I have no idea. But I will say that, be prepared to never know, because that is part of the draw of Michael Myers. Whether you realize this consciously or not, one of the reasons, not the only reason, but one of the reasons why you love this character, why you love this franchise, why you are obsessed with this franchise is because of the ambiguity, the anonymity, and the enigma that is the character and that surrounds the character. The not knowing, the why, the mystery, the mystique. That is why. That is at least a huge part why. Now, again, you don't think of this consciously. It's a cool mask. This is cool. That's cool. That's for sure. It's got the music and the mask. That's all great too. But it's fundamentally at its core the mystique that surrounds his character. It's what drove Dr. Loomis. It's what drives characters to figure it out. What's driving? Oh my God, the evil. What is it? What makes him tick? We should never know that. We should never know that. That again, that doesn't mean that characters within the film can't, be trying to figure that out. Maybe they ask those questions. Some of those questions were asked in Halloween Kills when Laurie was in the hospital and she's talking about, evil and the nature of evil and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's good to have that kind of stuff because it shows that the characters in the movie are also perplexed and want, what the hell, how does he take 6 shots a day? I saw 6 shots and we just got up and walked away. I'm telling you, he's still out there. All that kind of stuff, right? I mean, that's all good. Like, that's because we are living vicariously through that. But actually knowing it, ta-da! Like what they tried to do in Halloween 6, ta-da! No, get that out of here, because one of a couple things is going to happen. You're either going to, look, there's always a chance that you could create a reason and everybody loves it. Like most everybody. The general consensus is everybody loves the reason. It's possible, but it's not probable. There's a much higher chance that if you give a reason, you're going to satisfy some people and alienate and piss off the others. So why bother do it? Just keep the anonymity and the mystique there, because that's what makes Michael so cool. At the end of the day, the evil. What is evil? What is the nature of evil? It's that element. Not being able to define it is what creates this mystique, right? We can define Freddy. We know the why. We can define Jason and Chucky and Pinhead and Ghostface and Leatherface. We know their backstories and we know why they are who they are and why they're doing what they're doing. But with Michael, we don't. He's one of the only, I'm not going to say he's the only one, but certainly he's the only one of the big 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. We don't know why. And that not knowing is what drives that, that coolness for the character. It's so important. It's important we do not define it. We cannot define it. It's undefiable, I guess. It's not even a word, but we cannot define it. That's so important. All right. Let me see here. Make sure I didn't miss any. Oh, wait. Cody one, that one. Jordan Ellis sends in another $9.99. I was going to say $1.99. $9.99. Thanks, Jordan. Says David DDG? Do you mean David Gordon Green? DGG instead of DDG, I think is what he meant. Said he wanted to explore how others view Michael and Laurie's relationship. Yeah. From Laurie's granddaughter to the new kid on the block. Is that a necessary exploration for this film? Well, It might be, when you're fast forwarding 4 years later, I do think it's important that we find out where everybody is. Now, how much time you take on that is up to you as the filmmaker, as the writer, and as the director. But I do think it's important that we discover where everybody is. It's been 4 years. How are people feeling about this? Now, that doesn't mean you've got to spend a lot of time on random people we have no emotional attachment to, like the next door neighbor, Bob. We can get a sense of sort of what the general consensus is coming from the town. But with Laurie, I think it's absolutely vital. And with Allison, I think it's vital because these are the surviving members of that night. And Allison has lost both her parents in the same night. Laurie's lost her daughter and her son-in-law in the same night. You know, Allison's lost her friends. I mean, this is something, if you're not fast forwarding 4 years and you're picking up the same night, well, they're still in the middle of it, right? They're still in the middle of this whole thing. So you don't have to take time to necessarily, you know, explore how they're dealing with this or how they're dealing with the after effects and the residual effects of it, because you're not there yet, right? So had Halloween Ends taken place on the same night, the movie would have ended with them sort of riding off into the, you know, sunrise. And we would just assume, well, now they're going off into the next phase of their lives to get help and to deal with all that kind of stuff. Like Jamie Lee Curtis Laurie was doing kind of at the end of Halloween 2, right? When she's in the ambulance and it drives off into the fog and, you know, we're led to believe that she would, you know, go off and go to the next hospital, you know, whatever, right? But with Halloween Ends as it is right now, it's 4 years later. So as I've said many times, and I've been saying this for months, you know, and it's really been confirmed, and I'm not saying that to take credit. I'm just simply saying that it's no shock because there's no other way that you could really do it. I said that this is likely to be more of a character-driven film rather than a plot-driven film. So this is really going to be all about character and how Laurie and Allison are dealing with those residual effects. How is she dealing with it? You know, it makes sense. It makes sense to explore that relationship, right? Like how they view Michael and Laurie's relationship. I don't think you need to spend a lot of time on that in the town, but certainly it would be interesting because maybe they feel the town is cursed and Laurie's a big part of it. You know, I mean, what's the one common denominator with all these kills? Laurie fucking Strode. You know, maybe there's some people in the town that wish that she would die and that do not like her. Maybe Laurie's not welcome back to Haddonfield. I don't know. I'm just saying maybe those are some of those surprises and nuances and things that we don't know about because we haven't seen the film yet. That might make the film more interesting or better for you. Who knows? I wouldn't imagine that Laurie and Allison continue to live in Haddonfield. I mean, after everything they've been through, I would think that they moved away, not necessarily to California, but, you know, maybe they moved 20 miles down the road to Russellville or to maybe they moved to Indiana or I don't know. I mean, maybe they're still in the vicinity, but not, you know, I have no idea. I don't know. But certainly I think we can expect some level of character-driven story exploring the relationship between Laurie and Allison, between Laurie and Michael, between the town and Michael and Laurie, and like all of that. It makes sense to me. How deep and how much time they spend on it, we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I certainly think that is the case. I think that is the case. Gentle on James sends in $5. Thanks, buddy. Says, what if it's all a dream while Laurie is in a coma after the events of 1978? All the timelines were different nightmares about Michael. I think the probability of that is zero. Because the problem with that is, where does that leave you? Now what? So she wakes up in the hospital. So that means Michael is still after her. She wakes up in the hospital and what? They just slip in the last 15 minutes of Halloween 2 from 81 and we watch it? You know, of course it's not. That was a very early on theory that was out there and something that I just rolled my eyes at, you know, and I say that with all due respect for those of you that may have thought that or may have explored that. It's, you know, I mean, you can explore it and talk about it and it's kind of a fun kind of way. But the question really is, but then what? What does that even mean then? You know, then all the timelines were a dream? Okay. Well, I guess that's cool from like a, you know, 60s TV serial Batman kind of way. But I mean, what does that mean for the franchise then? You know, you'd have to recast, have a young Laurie, or you just have her wake up and just recycle, like I said, the last half hour of Halloween 2. I mean, it doesn't make sense. They would never do that. So I can guarantee you with absolute certainty that is not what's happening here. Like I can guarantee you that. So if you are somebody that thinks that that's a possibility, I would get that out of your mind right now. If you're somebody that thinks that that's what you would kind of like, I would get that out of your mind right now because that's not going to happen. But yeah, my only issue with that is, where does that leave us? Now what? It's all a dream. okay, well then what? That doesn't really make it better. It's my opinion though. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Mendel Goodman sends in $5. Thank you, Mendel. And says, if Michael was brought to water, would he swim or walk in like Jason to chase his victims? I think Michael would probably swim. I could see him swimming. Because unlike Jason, right? I mean, Jason is literally supernatural. So Michael has some sort of undefiable supernatural element that we can't quite put our finger on. But he's still also a human being. With Jason... again, I'm talking about the Michael from the original film. You know, he's literally supernatural. He couldn't take 6 shots on this down the other. Yeah, I've heard it all, folks. I know there's somebody right now just getting very angry at me. I would say that I think he would swim because he's a human being and he can't breathe underwater. It's not Jason Voorhees. So he can't like walk in and then his head, you know, or he thinks he can and he walks in and the water comes up like this and it goes, and then you kind of, and then you see him go, and he swims back to shore and he's lying on the beach and he's coughing up water and all that kind of stuff. No, I think he would swim. I think he would swim. It would look really silly depending on how they did it. Melvin Magwood sends in just $1.99. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. The Chosen One sends in £5. Says, I love the phrase context and nuance, and I'm trying to instill to my viewers the importance of it. What is the best way to explain it? Well, I mean, when it comes to nuance, it's just being able to, you know, nuance are essentially are details that shouldn't necessarily have to be explained. Do you know what I mean? Like if I say I'm so hungry I could eat a horse, you know, if you instill nuance, you understand that it's a figure of speech, right? I'm not taking things literally. But we seem to live in a world of fandom today where everything there's just two extremes, right? You know, it's either yes or no. It's either 0 out of 10 or 10 out of 10. And if you give a movie a 7 out of 10, people will look to you and be like, why didn't you like it? What do you mean, why didn't I like it? I gave it a 7 out of 10. That's a great score. You know what I mean? And it's this removal of nuance and being able to understand those tiny details and being able to read between the lines and that is being removed from our society in a lot of different areas. And it's very scary, you know, that we're starting to sort of live that way. I mean, I guess you could just say that. I mean, really, I don't know who your audience is. I don't know how big they are. I don't know, you know, if it's a major issue, but I think for me, I would just say it like that. You know, if I say I'm hungry to eat a horse, if you're smart enough to know I don't mean literally, and I just mean that I'm very hungry, well then congratulations, you've instilled some nuance. You know what I'm trying to say, you know it, right? I used to get not made fun of, but when I first sprung onto the scene here in 2017, and I still do it, but not nearly as much, people took notice at how often I would say, generally speaking, or by and large, or at the end of the day. And I used to tell people the reason why I did that very early on is because it was amazing to me how many people thought I was speaking literally about something, or that it just was surprising to me. You know, if I said something like, I don't know, when you're on set directing, you should, do this, blah, 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 blah. And then somebody might be like, well, you don't have to do that all the time. And it's like, well, no, of course, like it should go without saying, no, you don't have to do it all the time, but generally it's probably, and for whatever reason, there were just a lot of people that could not decipher nuance and they would think that I don't know if it's a generational thing. And I don't mean that in a condescending way. I mean that sincerely. I don't know. So I think that's probably the best way to explain it is like that. For context, I mean, context is just having information, extra information that paints a bigger picture, right? So we can all look at, a trailer or read a transcript, but in a lot of cases, a trailer or a transcript is lacking context. So it's lacking the extra information, the details, right? The nuances of information that would help to paint a clearer picture, that would give us all the information we need to understand everything that's going on. So I would just explain it like that. That's essentially what context is. I mean, again, other people may explain it differently, but context is just the information, the additional information you need to help you understand or paint a bigger, clearer picture of what exactly is going on, not what you think is going on based on something that lacks context. Because we can, project and put our own assumptions on things when we lack the clear information of what is happening. And that happens all the time. It happens on Twitter's terrible for it. Social media is terrible for it, and I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying that, but I made a decision very early on when I came on to do this kind of thing on YouTube, because I knew that what I said and how I said it, and I haven't been perfect because I've done a lot of live shows and a lot of talking, but I made it very clear to myself and to you guys that I speak like that because I want to be clear. And it might seem funny to you, but like I've always said, start a YouTube channel, gain a bit of a following, and you too will be taken out of context and have words put in your mouth. It doesn't just happen to me. It happens to all of us. And so that's why I make it apparent, or I make it a not rule, but a thing for me to be as clear as I possibly can. So I have evidence too. So if somebody, says, they take a clip of me, or they try to, put me in a bad light because I can go, well, actually, if you'd watch the next 30 seconds, you'd see I'm very much like that. It might be annoying to some, but it makes it very difficult for people who don't like me to try to run some sort of smear campaign. And people have tried. I've seen it. Trust me. But it makes it more difficult because I'm very careful with what I say and very particular and direct with how I say it. So yeah, I would just say that nuance is use that example, and context is just the larger information we don't currently have that is important to have to help paint a better picture. Hopefully that makes sense. One moment, guys. Hang on one sec. Stand by. Okay, sorry about that, folks. There was just a knock at the door down here. We're all good. We're all good. Let's see here. Antonis Andriotis sends in $5 and says, "Are you going to see Jeepers Creepers 4 and Terrifier 2 as well as Rob Zombie's The Munsters?" No, and no. Jeepers Creepers 4, I'm not going to go see. I'm not going to go pay to see that. Terrifier 2, I'm not going to. I don't know if Cineplex up here is playing it. I'm not sure. I know it's got 700 theaters across. It might just be the US. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it's wound up in a few theaters here in Canada, but I don't know if they've negotiated that deal or not, or if it's just down in the States. No, I'm not going to. It's not my kind of movie. I sincerely congratulate the entire team, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I do. Listen, getting a movie made, shooting it, releasing it, they crowdfunded it. They're not backed by anybody. A lot of hardworking dudes over there. What they've been able to do is fantastic. And they have my utmost support, sincerely. The first Terrifier I watched when it was on Netflix, and it's not my kind of horror movie. It's a gore exploitation sort of 70s style horror movie. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's an audience for it. People love it 100%. I didn't hate it. I mean, I got to be honest with you. I thought, I appreciated, because it's an indie horror and I appreciated the work that went into it. And I enjoyed watching it in terms of, I enjoyed, the experience of watching this indie horror that everybody was raving about. But at the end of the day, it's not really my cup of tea. Maybe if I was a teenager and I would have been all into it, but I don't know. It's as I've grown up, and I can only speak for myself. I will always love Jason and Freddy and Michael and all that kind of stuff, because those are the horror films I grew up with. But I'm 43 years old, and as I've gotten older, my tastes have changed. They've matured, and I appreciate more of the nuance, right? More of the subtleties of horror and psychological horror and mood and atmosphere and all that kind of stuff. I've always liked that ever since I was a kid too, but it's sort of I've become really more about that now. So Terrifier 2 is 2 hours of blood, guts, and gore and mayhem. Another exploitation sort of film. Now, that doesn't mean there's not a story to it this time. There was not much of a story in the first one. Apparently, part 2 does have more of a story, more of an origin kind of thing for Art the Clown, which I think is really cool. But I will probably save that to watch it on streaming. And I'll watch it. I'll check it out because I want to support the guys and I want to check out what they've put together. But I don't get excited. Like, I'm not excited about it because it's not really my kind of horror movie. It's a little much for me, but there's an audience for it, man. And people love it. People love it. So, and all the best to them. And I hope it's a big success. I hope they can rake in, I hope they can rake in 700 theaters. I don't know. Might be able to make a few 100,000, maybe. Who knows? We'll see. Maybe a bit more. The Munsters. No. Well, the Munsters isn't even going to the theater, so I'll just watch that at home if I watch it. Not excited about that at all. Movie Chat and More Part 2 sends in £5. It says, "Hey Dave, could you please give a shout out to my dad, George? He turned 76 on Sunday. Also, I agree, Kills is so bad. 18 looks like a good movie." Well, happy birthday, George. The big 76. The big 76. You don't look a day over 22. 22. Amazing. The big 76. That's so cool. Hopefully I can live that long. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. And Kills so bad. I agree. Kills is so bad. Well, I mean, there's things about Kills I like in a vacuum, right? There's certain little things in Kills that I like. But overall, yeah, 18 is a far better movie. So if we're getting more of 18 in ends and less of Kills in ends, yeah, maybe. You never know. Javid Bensko, how do you say your name, buddy? So I can actually get this correct, because there's a couple of ways I think you can say it. $10. Thank you. Your energy is similar to a hippie I buy shrooms from. Amazing. It is me, actually. Ooh, no, there's something trippy. No, it actually is me. You actually buy it from me. You're buying it from my avatar. I'm actually not there. Okay. I'm actually not in the space. So when you actually pick up the shrooms from me, I'm literally not in the space. I materialize in a digital form to create the illusion I'm there. And then after I leave, so you don't notice this stuff, but after I leave, I dematerialize and I'm not there. So the next time you need some shrooms, when I walk away, watch, and I will dematerialize. And then you'll be like, fuck, I don't even need this shit. What the fuck? It's amazing. He also does not drink coffee. Well, of course, because it's me. I offered him sugarcane juice, and he told me he had to drink it slowly throughout the day because of the sugar. Well, yeah, that's what I had to do. I mean, I didn't want to get off on some crazy high. You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's crazy stuff. Let me see. Jesus. Holy crap. I missed all these. There we go. Got that. Josh McKenna sends in $19.99. Very generous super chat. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate that, buddy. Says, Dave, I've had a great appreciation for older movies ever since you talked about remember context for when the movies were released. You can't erase an older movie just because it's not politically correct for today. I could not agree more. I could not agree more. There are so many great movies that are not watched by a lot of people today, not because of sort of the political incorrectness of some, although that might be the case, but really it comes down to production value and a film being dated, how it's presented, the production value, the execution of the movie. Clearly, if you're going to watch a movie from the 30s or the 40s or the 50s or the 60s, you know, they are, in terms of their production value, acting, not bad acting, but, you know, the older the movies are, like from the 30s and the 40s, there was a lot of sort of theater stage kind of acting because that's where acting came from, right? It came from the theater. So there was a lot of sort of, you know, well, my dear, I think you know, a lot of sort of overselling and things like that. And then, of course, as, you know, major motion pictures moved on, the acting was pulled back a bit, became more nuanced, and less sort of theater acting and more real or natural. But it is so important. There are so many great movies from that time that people are not even wanting to watch because the production value is old. And it's like, well, that's true. But if you are into great characters and great stories, I highly recommend watching movies from the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, because those were, you know, an era, the golden age of Hollywood. Again, not every movie's good, but I'm just saying there's a lot of great stories told really well that you're going to fall in love with. And you're going to, I mean, 20 minutes in the movie, you're not even going to care that it's black and white. You're not going to care that it's 1942. You don't care. I never do. I never do. I mean, watch Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. Watch All About Eve. Watch Rear Window. Watch Rope. Watch Chinatown. Watch Sunset Boulevard. I mean, watch these films that have made their mark, that are great stories and great performances. I'm telling you, you're going to thank me. But it's very important that if you're somebody that's like that, you got to watch it within its context. And you got to remember, it's like watching The Exorcist today and expecting it to affect you on the same ways that, like, you know, The Conjuring would or something. It's just ridiculous. Now, again, if you're my age or a bit older or maybe even a bit younger and you grew up with The Exorcist, obviously you'll always have an affection for it and it will always affect you on some sort of level. But if you're new to it, like I know somebody, there's somebody, and I will leave them nameless, but I do know there's somebody in the, they don't have a YouTube channel, but they're on the webs, that is always complaining about, well, that didn't scare me. I didn't find that scary and blah, blah, blah. And I remember thinking, well, but of course, I mean, if you're expecting to watch The Exorcist, or if you're expecting to watch Halloween and feel scared like you would watching, I don't know, Hereditary, or feel creeped out like you would watching Hereditary or you know, whatever, why would you set that? You have to remember the context. You know, remember the time, remember the year that it came out, remember all of that. It's incredible. Nobody had seen anything like it. It's like watching the original Star Wars and expecting to be moved and you know, thrilled like you were watching fucking, you know, Avengers Endgame or something. The hell would you place that kind of expectation on it? Why would you do that? You know, you have to watch movies within their context and be like, fuck, this is crazy. This is 1975. This is 77. This is 73. This is 48. Fuck, this is such a good story. Man, I can only imagine. Then you can appreciate it. But if you're expecting, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make it's like, I can intellectualize it. I get it, but it's disappointing to me. It's disappointing to me that so many great films with great characters and stories are overlooked because it has the production value of a 1950s movie or something like that. Watch The Ridge on the River Kwai. Oh, fantastic movie. Fantastic. You know, I watched that movie in grade 8 English class. And I remember, you know, my whole class was like, Bridge on the River Kwai. What's this? You know, I was like, and I too was kind of like, ugh. But then I watched it and my teacher made me appreciate it more because of how excited he was about it and how he was helping us to dissect the characters and get the classroom engaged and all that kind of stuff. And we even did our own like Bridge on the River Kwai little skit shit that we had to do. And I had to play, what's his name? The Asian, General Saito, I think is his name, Saito or something. And it was so much fun and we were really engaged and it really made me appreciate it and helped me to see through the lens of somebody watching it at that time, you know, and that's what it's about. That's what it's about, you know? So yeah, I agree, man. Totally agree. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Javid sends in another one, says, does your GF like you to role play a character that looks like you? If so, who? Okay. If you're going to send in those types of questions, I'm not going to answer them. Okay. So let's keep it clean. Let's keep it cool. You're spending money, but just know there's a limit. There's a limit. Carterman7 sends in $10, says, Davo, apologies if this has been asked already. Are you watching all the TV spots? And if so, do you agree they are progressively giving more and more plot details away? I have watched everything, and not necessarily in the TV spots, but certainly when it comes to the BTS B-roll, if you know what to look for, if you're paying attention and you know kind of what's out there and you know the rumors already, the BTS gives a lot away and really points in the direction of what we have been talking about for a long time. So I would say, I'd say yeah. It does, my man. It does. Javid follows up with $5 and gets back to basics, Javid, and says, Michael Myers seems more like a tea drinker. I think you're right. I think he's more like a tea drinker. Maybe some Ryan Coke. I'm not sure. Jose Reyes sends in $4.99, says, hi, Dave. Have you seen Pearl yet? I have not. Cinematography, a 10. Tony is right. It's better than X. Can't wait for Ty West's trilogy. Also, have you seen Saint Maud? I have not seen that either. Pearl, I've not seen. Not going to see it in the theater. I'll probably catch it when it comes to streaming. I liked X. I thought it was good, but I wasn't blown away by X. I didn't think this X train that everybody seemed to be on, I just couldn't get on. I thought it was fine. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it, but I couldn't care less if I ever saw it again. That doesn't mean that I think it's a bad movie. I just mean there's some movies you watch are like, oh, it was good. Yeah. But it's not a movie that I could see popping in or buying or whatever. And, you know, and again, here comes the nuance thing, right? Because we live in a world of fandom where things are either a 0 or a 10 out of 10, you know, if you like a movie, well, how come you're not buying it? You mean you could care less if you couldn't care less if you ever watched it again? Well, that must mean you don't like it. No, it doesn't mean that. Well, yeah, because it means that people who like movies will always watch them again. No, it doesn't mean that either. It means I watched it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool, but I didn't enjoy it enough that it's on top of mind. Oh, I got to buy it. I love it. I got to watch it all the time or whatever. I thought X was fine. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it, but it's not a movie that I loved. I just got to be honest with you. It's not a movie I loved, you know, and for me, and I only speak for myself, for me to get on board, to buy a movie, to, really sort of, get on board and to purchase a movie and to watch, I gotta love it. Now I'm really looking forward to seeing Pearl because I want to see if, again, X had similar kind of hype. Oh, no, but it's better than X. Okay. All right. Well, we'll see. I'm a tough nut to crack. So we'll see. I hope it is because Mia Goth's performance looks great. Javid sends another $10, says, I don't believe humans have traveled into deep space. Well, we have not. That is true. I don't believe William Shatner went to space. Therefore, Michael Myers doesn't exist in Jason X universe. I could not agree more, Javid. You have cracked the code, my man. You have cracked the code. Javid says another $10 says, do you watch The Critical Drinker? I don't. I don't know who The Critical Drinker is. Oh, wait, The Critical Drinker. Or am I thinking of Drunk 3PO? I think I've heard of Drunk 3PO. The Critical Drinker, I don't know. Well, I can certainly say I don't watch him, but I might know the channel if I was to see the avatar or the channel or something to that degree, but I'm not sure. Chris Parrish sends in $4.99, says, for the channel. Thank you very much. Chris says, it's my wedding day. It's your wedding day. Congratulations, my man. I'm glad my fiance is okay with my Halloween obsession. Have a good day. Well, if it's your wedding day, what the hell are you doing watching me? Wait a minute. Are you at the altar right now? Are you standing at the altar right now? Am I part of your vows? Do you need, dearly beloved, we are gathered here today. I, Chris Parrish, do take thee to be my beautiful wedded wife. Congratulations, my man. Now stop watching me and enjoy your day. Javid sends another $5 and says, I found out about this non-profit that helps funding small movies and documentaries. Have you heard of From the Heart Productions? I have never heard of From the Heart Productions. No, I have not. But if they do help people fund small films and documentaries, good on them. Good on them, man. Always good to do that. That's really cool. Follows up with another $5 and says, Michael feels insecure about his face because he feels that the Jason movies are loosely based on him. That's why he is attached to the mask. Ladies and gentlemen, another revelation from Javid. He is going hard into the paint and he is bringing these revelations to light. You are the arbiter. You are the gospel. You are the almighty and wise Javid. You know all. I mean, this is incredible. And you might be right. I mean, maybe you're right. The Neighborhood sends in $1.99 and says, hey, Dave, have you ever seen the movie Lake Mungo? No, I've never heard of it. Lake Mungo? 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 Mungo, I think. I have not. What's it about, man? I've not heard of it. Let me see here. Did I get them all? Have I got all the super chats? Oh, here's one. Gary Rangel sends in $2, says, will Malik Akkad make more films after Ends? I don't know, Gary. That's a good question. I think it's entirely, look, will there be other Halloween movies in the future? Sure. Halloween will go on to live, to exist in some sort of form. But Halloween Ends is the end of Halloween as we know it, connected to the 1978 original. So this is the end of this iteration. But will Malik, I don't know. I mean, the rights revert back to him. Maybe he's going to let it breathe for a bit and sit on the coin he's made from these last three films, because obviously this is his bread and butter. It's his baby. And then he'll explore other options. Maybe he's already exploring options for Season of the Witch. Maybe a streaming show or something. Who knows? I don't know. Halloween will live on, but it may be a little bit before we see Michael Myers again. And when we do see Michael Myers again, it's not likely to be James Jude Courtney in this iteration. You know, like a direct sequel to Halloween Ends is what I'm trying to say. I have a feeling that when you watch Halloween Ends and however it ends, it's going to be very clear this is it. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, here's an example. I don't think they're going to do this, but here's an example that's very final, right? So it would be like, hypothetically, Michael being blown up and you know it's him. They remove the mask. Just to make sure it's no fucking ambulance driver. They remove the mask. It's clearly Michael Myers. That doesn't mean you get to see his face, but the characters know that it's him. It's clearly Michael Myers. They strap him to a atom bomb and they watch him, he blows up. It's and his body parts go all over the place. He's dead. Michael is gone. It's gone. So that's what I mean by whatever they do, it's going to, and hopefully it's not that, obviously it's not going to be that, but whatever they do, it's going to be something that clearly communicates to the audience, oh, yeah, this is done. This is not eyes opening at the end of the movie or him suddenly sitting up or no, this is clearly Halloween ends. Do you know what I mean? But that doesn't mean that in the future they don't remake it, reboot it, do a sequel to another movie. I mean, sure. But as Halloween as we know it, yeah, it's over. And we'll see what Malik does with it. Stan I Am sends in $4.99 and says, what's up, Dave? In Halloween 2018, Dr. Sartain says Michael can speak, but he chooses not to. Do you think we will hear him speak in ends? I hope not. That's a good question. That's a good question. And maybe going back to Goodreal Hunting's prediction, make a bold prediction. That's actually one maybe, you know, that might be a bold prediction. I think what he means by that is there's a couple ways to approach that. Is did Dr. Sartain, because saying Michael can speak, but he chooses not to. Now, I haven't seen Halloween 18 in a while, so unless I'm wrong, I don't think there was any more said about that. So the question then becomes, did he say that because he's talked to Michael? Did he say that because Michael has spoken to him? Now, maybe he did say that in the movie. I'm not sure. I haven't seen 18 and to be honest with you, probably since I watched it, it's probably been a couple of years. Like right the way through. So I don't think he did. Or is this just his diagnosis? Listen, he's got a tongue. There's nothing medically wrong that would be preventing him from speaking, right? There's nothing cognitive. Well, there's a lot cognitively wrong with him, but I mean, like, there's nothing in terms of his brain or, you know, there's nothing physiological or cognitively or whatever, medically. There's nothing medically that would be a reason why he's not speaking. No, he could speak if he wanted to. He just chooses not to. He's catatonic. He's just not, you know what I mean? So that's the impression I got when he said that. Now the question then becomes, is he going to say something in Halloween Ends? I hope not. I hope not. I hope not. I don't want to hear anything because I don't think there's anything he could say that A, would make sense and B, satisfy everybody. What is he going to say? Thanks, sorry, fuck you, yes, no. I mean, it's just stupid. There's no reason for him to say anything. So, yeah, I hope not. I hope not. Let me just say that, man. I hope not. I say we will not hear him speak. I say we will not hear him speak. That's what I'm going to say. Jesus. Wow, it's a good thing I went back. Cameron Woodward sends in $2. Hey, Cameron, thanks, buddy. Who's the greatest Jedi and why? Who's the greatest Jedi and why? Well, I mean, listen, I don't know. I'm not that neck deep into the Star Wars lore. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of hardcore, sweaty, nerdy Star Wars fans. And I say that with affection because I'm a sweaty, hardcore Halloween fan. That could probably say, well, 3,000 years before the Republic and the Knights of the Old Republic, actually the Jedi Knight Gwing Guan Guo was it? I mean, yeah, I don't know. Based on what I know, probably either like Yoda or Luke or Vader. I mean, when he was not a piece of shit, you know, probably somebody like that, you know, Qui-Gon, maybe. I don't know. One of those guys, I guess. And why? Because they were very strong and could do a lot of shit. I mean, I'm being honest. I don't think that, listen, as I've said many times, I'm a Star Wars fan. And I thought I was a hardcore Star Wars fan until I learned I wasn't when I started doing YouTube. And there's a lot of people that, because I've never read a Star Wars book. I'm not into the mythology and the lore and the video game. I played a couple of games, which are kind of fun, but there's a lot of stuff I just don't know and I just don't care about. For me, Star Wars will always be just the movies and that's it. Like really at the end of the day, I know there's the Clone Wars and Rebels and the cartoons and all that kind of stuff, but I haven't even gotten into that. For me, when I think of Star Wars, I think of first and foremost, the original trilogy, because obviously that's what I grew up with. And then I do think of the prequels, but I'm not a fan of the prequels. I was already well into my 20s when they came out. So, you know, I don't have the same sort of affection for the prequels that somebody would if they were like 10 when they came out, right? To me, the prequels were very disappointing. The sequel trilogy, I really love The Force Awakens, really loathe The Last Jedi, and then The Rise of Skywalker I liked it better than The Last Jedi because I thought it connected better to the original, The Force Awakens. But the sequel trilogy was not what it needed to be or what it could have been overall. Liked Solo, didn't really like Rogue One. I thought it was kind of boring. I didn't hate it or anything. I didn't hate it. But so for me, and The Mandalorian, it's just there's just so much. There's so much to grasp and to log on to. I almost feel like I'm not qualified to answer that question because I'm going to give you a very rudimentary kindergarten kind of answer. Luke, where somebody might go, hang on a sec. Luke he's great. He's powerful. But if we're looking the greatest Jedi, and then they can get into the lore and the thousands of years of the Knights of the Old Republic and all this shit, I don't know. I almost feel like I'm not qualified. For me, I would probably say Luke, Yoda. I don't know. It's a good question though. Kevin L sends in $1.99 and says, what are your expectations for Indy 5? My expectations for Indy 5 is, I think it's going to be better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. James Mangold is a terrific director. You go back to one of his first movies, Copland, which I think is phenomenal and totally underrated. And I think we're going to get, I don't know. I mean, my expectations for Indy 5 are a really good, solid adventure and send off for Indy. I think it's in really good hands. I think Mangold's going to do for Indy what he did for Logan, or what he did in Logan, I should say. I think it's in good hands. A really good adventure last Indiana Jones movie. And this has not been confirmed yet, but I know there are a lot of rumors that time travel is a component to this film. And a lot of people seem to hate time travel movies. The only thing I've been able to decipher as to why is because they feel that it's used as a crutch to fill in plot holes or gaps. It's kind of like a cheating, I guess, in some ways. I don't see it that way. I agree that using time travel for those reasons is kind of lame. But in an Indiana Jones movie, and I agree that we're used to more grounded sort of adventures going after real life kind of things, but there's always a whimsy and a supernatural element to the Indiana Jones movies anyway. I would say that if there is a time travel component, I think it could be, depending on how it's used, it could be quite emotional and very effective. This is the last Indiana Jones movie with Harrison Ford. There's no question about it. So depending on how they're going to send him off and what they're going to do, could be very emotional. And for him to see himself younger, or for the audience to see him younger in some sort of, facing yourself, facing your past sort of way, or, it all depends on how they do it, right? And how much of a component in it is and how it ties into the overall story. I think, depending, it could be quite moving and emotional, as long as it's not used as a crutch. So I'm cautiously optimistic and open about that rumor, but I'm ready for just a good last Indiana Jones movie that is in the spirit of the original trilogy. And the first half of Crystal Skull was in that spirit, and then once they got onto the sound stages and CGI and red CGI fire ants and shit, it was like, oh fuck. mutt swinging in the vines, and it was just awful. It was awful. So I'm looking for a more consistent indie old school adventure. And my only reservation is I hope, because obviously we know they're going to be using some sort of de-aging technology, whether that is just in flashbacks or time travel back to a different period. And it's not really sort of impeding on the movie as a whole. Okay. But if it becomes sort of a big part of it, are we going to get like Luke Skywalker Mandalorian deepfake technology kind of de-aging shit? Or are we going to get like really good de-aging shit? Like that's what I don't want any uncanny valley shit to happen and be taken out of the movie. I'm a little worried about that. I don't think they're going to necessarily de-age. And again, because Harrison Ford, he's my favorite actor of all time. I don't mean this to be insensitive, but he looks old now, right? He's looking 80. And the older you are, the more de-aging you have to do, depending on how far you want to bring them back. So it would be less or more likely that in the flashbacks, they're not de-aging him. If there are, they're not de-aging him. They're de-aging a double that sort of looks like him. And then they kind of put his face on the double. I think that's probably what they're going to do. And in that way, it looks more realistic and less uncanny valley like some of the Irishman shit looked. Like, I hate to say it, but Robert De Niro and Al Pacino are so old now, they're well into their 70s, that there were a couple of scenes in that movie where they're playing guys in their 40s. Hello, I am 43, and they still look 20 years older than me playing guys in their 40s. So, and that's because they were de-aging men 30 years, and that's really tricky to do without some sort of uncanny valley. So just those kind of things I'm a little trepidatious about, but I'm really hoping that it's a great adventure. And by all accounts, the teaser they showed at D23, which they've yet to release online, by all accounts, it looks and feels like that old school kind of thing. So I'm excited to see it. Javid sends another $5 and says, 76 likes. Happy 76 B-Day, George of the Jungle, where my hippie or Dave avatar lives. That's right. No, it's me. It's me. I'm the one. I'm telling you right now. I think he was just doing too many drugs, my man. Too many drugs. I am your hippie shrooms dealer. I'm telling you. Poke me. You'll go right through me. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Ben Lowry sends in $5 and says, if you could rewrite Halloween 5, which would fix my guilty pleasure Halloween 6, what would you do? You dropped little hints on Halloween 5, 2 dudes and some BS. Keep it up. Well, I actually have a video on my channel. It's a McRae live from, I think, over a year ago. Let me just actually, let me quickly YouTube this here. McRae live Halloween 5. Let me see what comes up here. Yeah, there it is. Oh, is it 2 years ago now? I guess it's 2 years ago. McRae Live number 64. McRae Live, Halloween 5, what I would have done. Okay, so I'm going to put this in the chat. All right, I'm going to put this in the chat for you. And this is to McRae Live, episode 64, from the 4th of June, 2020. And this is my take on what I would have done with, where are we here? With Halloween 5. So there you go. And for anybody else who wants to see it. So that's just easier for me than explaining everything that's in that video, my man. But thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Kevin L sends in $4.99 and says, 3 movie characters you would want to be on an island with. Ooh, I would want to be on an island with Indiana Jones. Hands down. Come on. If you're on an island, that sense of adventure, and he would know what to do. He's an archaeologist. He's a scientist. He's smart, right? He's intuitive for sure. So Indiana Jones, and then I'm going to say Yoda, because he's wise. He's all-knowing. He's calm, cool, collected, can point you in the right direction, can have you sort of, be self-reflective. He's a great teacher to be able to teach you how to do the Force. He can teach me how to do the Force. I'm alone on a deserted island. Yoda, Indiana Jones, and Yoda, Indiana Jones, and John Candy. John Candy from Planes, Trades, and Automobiles, because he can make me laugh, and he's got a big heart. He's got a big heart, can make me laugh. And yeah, that's what it's going to be. That's what it's going to be. I mean, I guess I could say Tom Hanks' character from Castaway, but maybe even Wilson, maybe the volleyball. Wilson. It's like everybody's got to say that when they say that. But yeah, I'm going to go Del Griffith, Yoda, and Indiana Jones. There's 3 movie characters you probably never would have guessed I would have said. That's a weird combination right there. A weird combination right there. Antonius Andriotis sends in $5, says, in Halloween Kills, are we going to see the death of the kid that Corey is babysitting? Who do you think murders the kid that Corey is babysitting? Great question. Well, definitely we know that he dies. That's in the official synopsis. That's not a spoiler. Whether we actually see how he dies, I don't know. And whether it is Corey, I don't know. It's a very good question. I have a feeling that it's going to be ambiguous. Now, maybe not. Like, it depends on how they want to place it, right? Do they want to put the audience in this, like, okay, so let me try that again. There's a couple ways they could do it. They could lead the audience to believe that Corey is responsible, but he's professing his innocence. But we don't know because we didn't see Corey kill him. And that puts us in the same position as like the parents coming home that night and the people of Haddonfield. So how do we feel about this Corey character? We don't know, right? Or we actually do see how the kid dies. We as an audience know it's not Corey, but the parents coming home don't know that. So that's a very different feeling for the audience as opposed to the characters, right? Which way do I think they're going to do it? I have a feeling see, if it was me, I would probably write it in a way that you don't know. That it looks like we don't know. The audience has no idea. Did Corey kill him? Did he not? We don't know. So therefore, we're kind of part of the town. We are the mom and dad that come home. Like, what the fuck, right? I have a feeling, though, it's going to be written in a way where we do know. We do know that Corey either did or didn't. And now we're just watching sort of that story unfold. That's my guess on that. Collector's Digest sends in $4.99, says Halloween 78 is more of a thriller for me. I love suspense. Any recommendations on old great whodunit suspenseful thriller? Oh, that's a very good question. Whodunit? I don't know. To be totally honest with you, off the top of my head, I'm not sure. That's actually, I would have to look that up. My man. But you're right? But you're right. I mean, the first part of your question is correct. I mean, today, Halloween is a thriller, because we've evolved. The horror subgenre, the horror genre has evolved, and things, depending on the subgenre, continue to get more exploitative and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of things that yeah, I mean, it is a horror movie for all intents and purposes. But yes, in comparison to the golden age of slasher movies, it started, and where things sort of went, it's very tame. But it was intentional as well, because Irwin Yablans has said many times, I wanted to make an old school horror movie. Even in 1978, he was calling it old school. That's because in the 70s, there was this rise of exploitation films, kind of like what Terrifier is, right? You were getting more and more of that, like, the house, Last House on the Left and all that kind of grindhouse sort of horror kind of films, exploitative films. Again, there were horror films that were not like that, but we really saw a rise of that in the 70s. And Irwin Yablans wanted to do more of a what he felt was sort of the beginning of a dying thing, which it was, which is more of that theater of the mind. So yes, from a certain point of view, it is a thriller. But it's in the horror genre because of the subject matter and, the execution and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'd have to look that up, man. It's a great question. Amadusius sends in $5 and says, as a young person, it's my responsibility to keep the classic films alive. I made friends sit and watch movies like Sunset Boulevard and everyone loved it. Amazing! Now, I don't know how old you are, but you are correct. It is your duty to keep those movies alive. Listen, I mean, I'm 43, but, even Sunset Boulevard, for people who grew up with that film, I would probably be considered a young person. But no, dude, I mean, it's a terrific film. A terrific film. It's not every movie you're going to watch from that time period is good, but look up some ones that are classics. Gaslight is really good. Rope, Alfred Hitchcock's Rope, fantastic. Man, there's some great ones out there. And isn't that always the case? Isn't that the case? I don't want to watch it. It's because of the production value. It's because it looks old and you're used to bang, 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 flashy and things being modern. Fuck, man. Just give it a chance. Pop it in, sit and watch it. Give it a chance. You will get lost and emotionally invested in the story and the characters. I'm telling you, it's brilliant stuff. Keep it up, man. Keep it up. Javid sends another $5 and says, let me try that again. Javid sends in another $5 and says, I think X and Pearl have a similar effect as Prey. The movie is overly liked, but most movies suck. It could be that. It's a good point you make. Look, I have not seen Pearl, so I have no idea whether it's, in my estimation, deserving of the praise that it's currently getting. I have no reason to believe that it's not. Ty West is a terrific horror director. And again, I liked X. When I said I couldn't care less if I ever saw it again, that's me going to the extreme to paint a picture and say that it's not a movie that will probably be in my Rolodex a lot. Not because I didn't like it. I liked it. I thought X was good. I just didn't like it as much as everybody else seemed to. So I thought maybe it was a smidgey overrated. But that doesn't mean that Pearl's not going to knock my fucking socks off, because there are Ty West films that do knock my socks off that are really good. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. But the overall point you're making, I think, might be true in the sense that the horror genre overall is very hit and miss. In most cases, it's miss, especially big horror films coming from the major studios. And so, the horror genre, the horror groupies like we are very, we're dying for the next big thing. We're anxious and we are pining for the next big thing, that even when a pretty good one comes along, it is not out of the realm of possibility to overhype or oversell or over-exaggerate our love for it, because we are so malnourished and we've been, fooled so many times in the horror genre, that when something comes along that is good, that is objectively good, that was good, I enjoyed that, we tend to think it's maybe better than it actually is because of how malnourished we are. That's not me saying X or Pearl or The Black Phone. I haven't seen The Black Phone yet either. I gotta fucking see that. Or any of these movies. Barbarian, Smile that's about to come out, all this stuff is not deserving of the praise that it's getting. I'm not saying that. But I do think that is a phenomenon that does happen in the world of horror. Because there are so much garbage out there when it comes to horror movies. It's so refreshing to see a movie come along that actually is good. Okay. Ben Lowry sends in $2, says, do you buy The Mask has powers for Mike? No, I don't. I don't think so at all. I mentioned this earlier. I was talking about this earlier. I do not believe there is any sort of correlation between, or causation, I should say, between the am I saying that right? Causation or correlation? I might be getting the two mixed up. But anyway, I do not believe there is a direct connection between The Mask and Michael's evil. Not at all. Do I think Michael likes The Mask? Do I think he has some sort of attachment to it? Sure. Yeah, because there is a history to it with him. But I don't think The Mask gives him evil powers, and that it's The Mask that is evil and it's The Mask that is possessing him. No. And I don't think we're going to see anything like that in Halloween Ends either. Now, that doesn't mean that there might be not some sort of hint symbolically, like the representation of the mask, the pale face, the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes, what the mask represents symbolically and metaphorically. Sure. But literally, no, not at all. Matthew Farisi sends in $1.99, says, let's hope David Gordon Green can stick the landing. Let's hope he can stick the landing, man. I am really hoping he can stick that landing. Oh, I'm hoping so much. I'm hoping so much, man. I'm pulling for it. Let me see. Oh, wait. Hang on. More coming in. Matthew Farisi. Oh, wait. Jeez. Hang on. Wow, a lot more came in than I thought. Right. And then Javid sends in $2, says, oops, sorry, apologies, McRae. No, it's all right. It's just, it seems like a pointless question to pay for. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I could have just made up some funny thing, but just seems kind of weird. That's all. Where Nomad has gone before sends in $2 and says, I am so excited about your It's Me, Billy. You mean chapter 2? Because chapter 1 is up online right now, but I think you mean chapter 2. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Yeah, we're very excited about it. We are in development right now. We are working on the first draft of the screenplay right now. And the plan is to launch the Indiegogo campaign next year in 2023. Don't know specifically when yet, obviously. We'll know more as the weeks and months roll on, but we're very excited about it because, in case you haven't noticed, for those of you that watched the first part and were maybe confused and were maybe even let down, it is clearly the first part. It ends on a cliffhanger. There is more to tell, and obviously the arcs and the story will come to a head, and arcs will be complete, and things will make sense in this epic conclusion. So we're very excited to finish off this story. Our Black Christmas story connected to the 1974 original. But obviously, the film has not been quote unquote greenlit yet. We are going to be counting on you guys to be able to help fund this project again. Again, I don't know how much we're going to be looking to raise yet, because obviously we have not written the first draft of the screenplay yet. But we're going to be counting on all you guys again to help us raise the production budget to help finish this story. And then and only then, when the money is raised, does it become officially greenlit. But we are officially in development and officially working towards that direction. So, but we can't do it without you guys, because we want to deliver on the same level of production value and professionalism through and through, with also completing the story and completing the arcs and all that kind of stuff as we did before. But we want to deliver the same level of professionalism, and that only happens when you can raise the production budget. So we're counting on you guys. We're counting on you. And I believe we can do it. We've done it before. We can do it again. I believe we can do it again. 100%. 100%. Because we want to show you and bring you the epic conclusion of Black Christmas. It's going to be pretty epic. All right. Let me see here. Javid sends another $5, says, I agree. It's stupid for Michael to speak. It was stupid on the Rob Zombie movie. Michael is a zombie like Jesus. A zombie like Jesus. I don't know what correlation that is. But I agree. I agree with you 100% that he should not speak, Javid. He should not speak. It just helps to instill and help to perpetuate and hammer home that mystery of the evil, the ambiguity and the mystique of the evil. So I agree with that. Michael Parten sends in $5. Thank you, Michael. Says, I'm really concerned about the merger rumor that I pray isn't true. Zaslav bought WB so Universal could buy Zaslav brought WB so Universal could buy WB. Also, he doesn't really have a plan. Michael, I'm not quite sure what you're saying there. It wasn't Zaslav specifically that bought Warner Brothers. It was Discovery. Zaslav, of course, is the head. But Warner Brothers is still its own thing too, right? I mean, it's still, Warner Brothers still exists, okay? Brought WB so Universal could buy WB? I'm not quite understanding what you're saying. I haven't heard anything about Universal wanting to buy Warner Brothers. I haven't heard anything about that. I'm familiar with the merger. I'm familiar with Discovery. Obviously now has bought Warner. That was back earlier this year or late last year or something. And they're really trying to turn things around over there, which is great. But I'm not familiar with Universal and Warner Brothers. So I'm not quite sure what you're asking there. Or maybe you're just making a statement. I'm not quite sure. Sorry about that, Michael, but thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. Matthew Ferreira sends in $4.99, says, I wonder if killing people is Michael's way of celebrating Halloween. Maybe it is. Maybe certainly there's a driving force inside him, and there's obviously some sort of thing he gets really excited about. I don't know, man. Javid sends in $2, says, was Copland Method Man's first movie? Method Man's first movie? Method Man's first movie. I'm not quite sure of the... I think you're making a pun or a joke, but I'm not quite sure. Copland, I don't think was Mangold's first movie. I don't think so. Let me see here. No, Heavy was his first movie in 1995. It was his second movie. Girl Interrupted he did, which was great. Identity he did, which was great. Walk the Line he did. 310 to Yuma. I'm telling you guys, Indy 5 has the potential to be really, really good. Really, really good. I'm really excited about it. David Coe sends in $1.99, says, Dave, why do you completely shave for award shows? Why do you completely shave? Why do I completely shave for award shows? Do you mean like, are you asking me specifically? Or are you asking in general? Maybe you're looking at so the last award show I was at was the Voice Arts Awards at Warner Brothers, because I was nominated, and that was 2019, and I was shaven for that. But the reason for that was because I was also getting my head cast for Freddy Krueger. And Nora Hewitt, the special effects makeup artist, Nora Hewitt, had advised that maybe I should shave before they did the casting and put all that goop on my face. So I had shaved, I think on the Thursday night. The head casting for Freddy was on a Friday, and then the award show was on the Sunday. But if you look at other photos of me at the Voice Arts Awards in 2018, I think I have my beard thing, I think. And then 2015, I was clean shaven because I hadn't grown facial hair at that time. That was before I was even doing YouTube. But it's also, I mean, you know, it's an award show, and it's at Warner Brothers Studio, and I'm a nominee. I'm walking the red carpet with Sigourney Weaver and shit. I gotta make sure I don't look like a bum. Not that you look like a bum with facial hair, but I assume that that's what you're talking about, is that because there are some photos of me online where I'm on the red carpet and I'm clean shaven. If it's the 2019 one where I have my suit on with the white tie, that's because I had shaved a few days earlier because of the Freddy casting. If I had not done that, then I probably would have had facial hair, because I like actually having a bit of stubble, a bit of 5 o'clock shadow going on. Universe 7 Gaming sends in a very generous super chat of $30. Thank you, buddy. Really appreciate that. Says, hey, Dave, I have a great idea for a video or small series that I would love to see, and I'm sure others would love to see as well. My idea is that you tell us in detail how you would rewrite Halloween 2 to 6 ending on a high note. Well, Universe, I appreciate your super chat. I really do. And I appreciate that you spent $30 to say that. And that's a cool idea. That's pretty cool. However, On this channel, I've made it very clear I don't take requests. Okay. No matter how large the super chat is, just so people out there, I'm not saying that's why you sent that in. I just want people to know. But I don't take requests. And the reason why I don't is because, I like to do videos and things that I am inspired to do. And therefore I put my all into it because I really want to do it. Do you know what I mean? I'm motivated and excited to do it. And that comes across in the video or in the series that I'm doing. Do you know what I'm saying? It doesn't come across like I'm half-assing it or whatever the case is. Like in my sequel concept idea video, the sequel to Halloween 18, it's like a 2.5-hour video. I really wanted to do that. I did it over the course of like a couple of weeks and then piece it all together. If you watch very carefully, you can tell I got a haircut. And I was motivated and excited to do that. But the reason why I don't take requests is because there's some things that people will want me to do that I just don't have an interest in doing. You know, it's not a bad request, dude. That's cool. That's really cool. And maybe one day down the road when the Halloween shit is behind us, I might think, you know what? That's actually not a bad idea. Maybe I'll do that. But that's a lot of work, right? That's a lot of work. That's a big undertaking because I would want to go like deep into it and dive into it. And I need to feel excited about the material that I'm putting out. And at this present time, it just doesn't excite me. It doesn't mean it won't excite me a couple of months from now, a year from now. Maybe it will, right? Maybe it will. Or maybe it'll wind up being a what if on an episode of Two Dudes or something like that, right? Maybe that'll happen. But as of right now on my own, probably not going to happen. And again, I mean, no disrespect when I say that, you know, no matter how big the super chat is, I do not mean to suggest that that's why you spent $30 as sort of a bribe. I don't mean that at all. I just want people to know, in case others are looking at this, I want people to know and understand that that's something that I won't do. So again, not saying you're doing that. You just might be like, no, dude, I just wanted to send you $30 because I love your channel, man. I wanted to show that. That's why I'm doing that. It's nothing to, totally cool. Totally cool. But I just want other people to know, because I have had in the past, other people kind of spin it that way. You know, they'll send in like $25 and ask me to do something on camera or whatever. And then when I don't, they're like, but I sent you $25. It's like, well, you know, but you have to understand that there's no guarantees, right? I mean, this is, you know, I have to be mindful of what I feel comfortable with, what I want to do, all that kind of stuff. So that's an awesome idea, man. Sincerely, it is. But as of right now, I just don't feel motivated to do it. Do you know what I mean? Maybe Tony and I would tackle that in a what if scenario on Two Dudes. It's possible. You never know, man. But thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. And that's a pretty cool idea. It is. I admit. It's cool. Happy Sanjo sends in $2 and says, thoughts on John Candy's Canadian Bacon, yay or nay? It's a funny movie, but when I first watched it, because in case you guys haven't noticed, I have a pet peeve about how some stereotypes of Canada are depicted in America. Listen, stereotypes are stereotypes for a reason. Sometimes there's truth to them. But one of the big stereotypes that I hate is how Canada is often depicted in cartoons, how we speak. It's like, you would think, if you didn't know anything about Canada, you would think that if as soon as you crossed the border, or maybe even as you're crossing into Canada, the customs border agent would be like, hello, welcome to Canada, eh? What's going on? Oh boy, well, be safe up there, eh? Nice. Oh, don't be. It's like, why do we all sound like we're like 3 bricks shy a load? I mean, and we have like, the IQ of a donut. I mean, it's incredible to me. So most Canadians do not sound like that. You may get that kind of accent maybe in the prairies. You'll get a very strong Irish Newfie kind of accent in Newfoundland, but generally speaking, they all sound like me. Not that there aren't certain words that I might not say where you go, oh, that's kind of different than how I say it. Sure, of course. But there's just certain pet peeves I'm like, I wouldn't mind it so much if we weren't depicted as you know. You know what I mean? It would be like Canadians depicting every American sounding like this. Hey, man, welcome to the U.S. All right. And that's just America. Everywhere, every city at all times. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, God, man. So not that we got that in Canadian bacon, but there's certain stereotypes. I'm like, oh, Wiley. And Canadian bacon was full of that, right? In a very spoofy sort of way. I didn't mind it. I don't think it's a great movie. It's okay. It's okay. It's fun. I can laugh at myself. But man, some of the stereotypes are like, it's not like this at all. You know, and I'm sure there's some American stereotypes that you guys would be like, it's not like that at all. Why? You know, so it's just kind of funny. I'm always rolling my eyes going, God. And I think what it is too is because America and Hollywood and the entertainment industry has such an influence that, listen, there are Americans that know very little. I can tell you things about the US that you couldn't tell about Canada. I mean, you know, I can name states and capitals and cities and history and I'm a Canadian, but it's because we learned about those things in school. You guys don't learn about Canada in school. I mean, you know Canada exists up there, you know, but very rarely do you know the same level of depth about our country as we do yours, right? So there's such an influence from America that sometimes when I see something being presented, I'm like, oh, great, now everybody thinks this. You know, I'm like, oh, great, now everybody thinks we all sound like this. You know, I'm like, oh, God, no. But Canadian bacon's fun. It's cute. Javid sends another $5, says, I was asked who would I be stuck on an island with? I quickly responded without thinking, Dave. Dave and Michael Myers with shrooms. Well, there you go. That's right. I'll just be passing you shrooms and get you so high and get you. That's what it is, man. That's what it is. Javid sends another $5, says, Freddy Krueger appears in your dreams, but what about your shroom trips? I don't know. You'd have to ask Javid. Have I got everything? I got to get going here. This has been a crazy stream with tons of super chats. Oh, geez, I didn't get everything. Holy snap and crap. All right. We're almost done, I think. Andrew Stevens, my man, Andrew Stevens sends in $5, says, for the sexy, where in the hell is Frank Riker at fans in the chat? Thank you very much, Andrew. One of my great mods here. Really appreciate that. Jesus Freak Bobby Reeves sends in $1.99, says, for the channel. Love you guys. Thank you, Jesus Freak Bobby Reeves. Appreciate that. Devin Collins sends in $9.99, says, what do you think of Ghost's Hunter's Moon track in the Halloween Kills soundtrack? Not very many people acknowledge that song when they talk about kills. I got to be honest with you, I would have to go back and listen to it. I don't know it off the top of my head. But everything I've heard look, the Halloween 18 soundtrack, fantastic. The Kills soundtrack, fantastic. I have no doubt that the Halloween Ends soundtrack is going to be fantastic. The one thing I think we can count on here with these films, definitely, is that they both have fantastic soundtrack, or all three have great music. John Carpenter, Cody Carpenter, Daniel Davies have done a fantastic job at the soundtrack. I mean, it's shit that's great. So, yeah, but specifically that track, don't have it in my head, so I'm not entirely sure. Luis Nunez sends in $1.99, says, will Laurie kill Michael Myers? I think so. Luis. I think it's going to happen. Movie Chat and More Part 2 sends in £5 and says, Dave, I'm begging you, dude, please watch the Dead End trailer with Ray Wise. It's a Christmas horror movie. Please watch it on air, please. Well, maybe. It's a request, Richard. It's a request. If I start taking requests, it'll never stop. Trust me, it'll never stop. I will get around to it. Javid sends in $5, says, Michael Myers is a zombie like Jesus because they both come back after death. Okay. All right. Fair. I didn't quite make that correlation there, but now I get it. I see it there. Matthew Ferreira sends in $4.99, says, I have an idea for a horror series where a reptilian monster fights off a demonic monster who turns people into zombies. Write it down, buddy. Write it down. Get that thing into some sort of treatment or something. Write it down, my man. Write it down. I'd like to see that shit. Okay, I think I did get all the super chats. Let me get a couple of non-super ones before we go here. Johnny T says, Dave McRae, what's with you and the San Francisco Giants hat? Have you given up on the Jays? You need a nice Yankees hat. I do have a Yankees hat. You see, I'm the kind of guy, I'm a hat person. Although I do have my favorite teams, my favorite hockey team is the Buffalo Sabres. My favorite baseball team would be the Toronto Blue Jays, or the only baseball team in Canada. My favorite NFL football team, although I don't watch football really, would be the Buffalo Bills because I go back to the days of Jim Kelly. But I'm a hat guy. So although I do have hats of my favorite teams, sometimes I just like the way the hat looks. Sometimes I like the colors. Sometimes I like the logo. And I'm like, wow, I like that team's logo. That's a cool hat. I'm going to wear it. I like the San Francisco Giants logo, the hat. They're a legendary team. You know, Barry Bonds back in the day. I know. Roids, I know. But I'm just saying, right? And the colors, orange and black. Hello, Halloween, October, in case you missed that. I love hats. I love hats. Let's see here. Another one. Geeked Out Turtle fan says, based on the still pictures of Laurie's nose hairs, can you tell me how Laurie is going to kill Myers? Yes. Well, her nose hairs were quivering a little to the left, so I believe that she will be leaning to the left when she kills Myers. I'm making that a social media post. Totally. Something like that anyway. Amazing. Super chat. Oh, wait. Frank says I missed a super chat. Did I miss a Matthew Ferreira? I have an idea. Oh, I got that one, Frank. Maybe that's the one that you were talking about. Maybe not. Let me go back here. Did I miss one? Javid? Chatting more? Lewis? I don't see one from Matthew here. It must have been that one then, right, Frank? I think it was that one. I don't see any more here. Universe 7 Gaming sends in $5. Says, sorry, McRae, it was just an idea for you to think about. No need to apologize, dude. No need to apologize. You take that fucking apology back. I think it's going to sound sorry for my sorry. Was just an idea for you to think about, something you might like. Also, a 30 wasn't to entice you just for the content. Yeah, totally. And that's why but you see, some people might think that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know that, and you know that, but some people might think that because I have had people, not lately, it's been a while, but in the past, I have had people try to do that for that kind of thing. And I feel bad, and I shouldn't feel bad, but I've had to kind of say, hey, listen, really appreciate, the super chat. That's amazing, dude. Awesome. Supporting the channel. Awesome. You're awesome. You think I'm awesome. That's awesome. It's amazing. But just know that I don't take requests because I always like to be in control of the content because I want to feel excited. And if I don't feel excited because I feel obligated, to me, man, it's going to show. It's going to show. You're going to pick up on it. You viewers are smart. You've been watching me a long time. And if I'm doing shit that I'm not into, you guys will be like, I don't think he's into this. That's okay. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, no harm, no foul. I saw that some people might make that connection. And I thought, well, maybe I might say this, but yeah, no, you're just giving that because totally get it, man. Totally get it. And it is a good idea. And like I said, maybe it'll circle back around. Circle back around, I should say. You never know. Resident Dr. Evil says, when do you think we'll get another Nightmare on Elm Street? Well, you're going to get one with me as Freddy Krueger next year in Dylan's New Nightmare opposite Miko Hughes, direct sequel to the original Wes Craven's New Nightmare. You'll get that short film. We should start shooting in November. But if you mean officially, I don't know. I don't even know where the rights are. The rights reverted back to the Craven estate a couple of years ago. I know Elijah Wood's production company was interested in it. I don't know where it stands right now. I think we know more about where the Friday the 13th franchise stands than we do the Elm Street. So I'm not entirely sure, man. I would like to think hopefully within the next few years, maybe before 2025, but I don't know. It's hard to say. Trevor Bristow sends in a question. Says, hey Dave, I got a hard question. Which movie do you think is better? Okay. The Shawshank Redemption or Forrest Gump? Fun fact, I'm actually living the city of Mansfield where Shawshank was filmed. You're living in the city of Mansfield where Shawshank, let me try that again. You're actually living in the city of Mansfield where Shawshank was filmed. Very, very, very cool. Which is better? Listen, they're both incredible films. Obviously, Forrest Gump beat Shawshank for the Academy Award. I think from a purely emotional human experience that really resonates, it has to be Shawshank. Forrest Gump is it's a great film. It's a great drama with a terrific arc. And the technology they used at that time was revolutionary. To actually see Tom Hanks as Forrest Gump shaking hands with fucking President Kennedy. What? I mean, now it's like, oh, whatever. But back in 1994, when I was 15 years old, it was like, what? My dad was like, what? I mean, my dad remembers when Kennedy was shot. He went to cover it. Anyway, so, but from a purely human experience, you know, that touches you on that level, because the Shawshank Redemption is about hope. It's about redemption. It's about hope. It's about living your life, about hope. I mean, that's what it is, right? You know, he says it in there. He says it that hope, what does he say? Hope is sometimes all you have. It's sometimes, the best of things. There's a big quote about hope. I completely butchered it, but it really is about hope and redemption, because he was wrongfully accused. He was wrongfully convicted. He actually was. And so from a purely human perspective, because we don't have to be a prisoner. We don't have to be able to relate to it on that level. We take the themes, the theme of Shawshank, the message, right? The philosophical, larger than life message of the movie, and we all can relate to it on some level, whether it's about hope, about your own life, about a career, your family, your relationship, your job, your dreams. We all can relate to never giving up. Do you know what I mean? And doing the right thing and trying to have some sort of personal redemption of some sort. We all can relate to that on some level. And that's why I think it works maybe a bit more on the vicarious sort of area. So I'm going to pick Shawshank. All right. I think I've got all the super chats. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for me here on this Thursday Q&A. Yeah, Frank says, how can you be so obtuse? I know. He's fucking great. I love that warden. And The Shawshank is one of my favorite movies of all time, period. So that probably helps. Yes, thank you everybody for tuning in to all the non-super chat questions. My apologies for not getting to them. Of course, whenever I do these shows, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes a lot of super chats will come in. And obviously, I know you guys understand, but I have to say it anyway, because there's somebody out there that doesn't get it. Obviously, I have to answer the super chat questions first. They take priority for obvious reasons, but I do not mean to ignore you. I see you, and there will always be more opportunities to ask questions. Again, you guys are just as amazing because you're here, you're watching, you're supporting the channel. I sincerely thank you for watching. Sincerely, you guys are awesome. And remember, we don't always have to agree. What fun would it be if we did? Thank you to my great moderators, of course, Frank Riker, Tabitha Short, Darren Sands, Chris Baber, Cody Snyder, and Andrew Stevens, for doing what you guys do. You guys are amazing, but you are. I will be back at some point soon, maybe over the weekend. Not really sure what's happening, but we shall see. Be safe out there. Not long now. Halloween Ends is on the horizon. If you want to follow me on social media, you can. There are my links right there. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. All my links are in the description. Check them out until your heart's content. And when your heart is content, check them out again. Oh, Carl the Third, hard into the paint. $4.99. Amazing, says Dave. Can you shout out what Diane should take for her diarrhea? What should what Diane should take for her diarrhea. Yes, first of all, Diane should take more laxatives to push the diarrhea out, to push it out. I'm just saying. Diane. More of the diarrhea show next week. Folks, all my links are in the description. Check them out until your heart's content. And when your heart is content, check them out again. And Diane, it's okay. You will be okay. You will be okay, Diane. Listen to Michael Jackson's Dirty Diana, and it will help you through the process. Dirty Diana! Cheers.